Good morning. This is Jeff Willinger, J Willie on Twitter, and I am super excited to be kicking off the day at ESPC 19, also known as European SharePoint Conference, as well as Office 365 and Azure all into one. We're on the conference floor, and this is the morning show. And I'm lucky enough today to have the amazing Tracy Vander Schyff with me. Good morning, Tracy.
Good morning.
Thanks for getting out of bed for me. I really appreciate it.
I was up all night waiting for this. I was so excited.
Thank you. Thank you. It is great to have you here. Actually, after having hung out with you last night, I feel like we're just continuing our banter from last night.
Absolutely am.
You know, Tracy, we talked a lot last night about a lot of different things, but the one thing that I was a little bit fascinated with, and I think that a lot of our viewers would also like to know, you've got this beautiful sleeve of... Are those called icons, or what do you call them, Tracy?
It's all my favorite things in life, like SharePoint, Yammer is there, Teams is there,
I see
by the
the
way.
creative thinking, right? Is that what that light bulb is?
Yep.
Or innovation?
Yep.
This guy, what's this guy?
Well, he's called Happy from now on.
And is this like the bunny that you used to sleep with when you were a baby?
Which is dead now, that's why.
Of course. Oh,
of course it is.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks for being with me, Tracy.
Absolute pleasure.
You know, when I think of you, Tracy, I think of a lot of different things. I think of South Africa. I think of some of the sort of, I don't want to be too dramatic, but kind of groundbreaking sessions that you've done, not only here at ESPC, but at Ignite and other conferences. And the two that really stick out is this CoInnovation in Office 365 and digital literacy. Tracy, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about each of those, but seeing that you just recently did your CoInnovation session, talk to our viewers a little bit about what it means to you and sort of what we could sort of take away from it.
Oh, great. So yes, I had the co-innovation with Office 365 session yesterday, and I had such great feedback as well. I had so much fun. I always do. I just insist, you know.
You and I.
No prisoners taken. I mean,
Yes,
and that's
yes.
just how we do this. But co-innovation is definitely, and we'll chat about digital literacy after this, but if we think co-innovation, I think the topic that comes up, or the question that comes up all the time, is that people say, I don't know when to use what. I don't get this whole when to use what thing. There's too many apps, there's too many features, there's too many things. And I asked the audience, I said, so who's got smartphones? And of course everyone's got smartphones, right? And I said, okay, so everyone in the room with their smartphone only has one app on it. I mean, do you know that? Have you got a smartphone?
I do.
And it only has one app on it? How many apps? Like more
Really,
than one app?
I have got more than most normal people.
Okay, so 2. But I asked them, I said, so how many apps do you have on your phone? I mean, do you just have one that does everything? So there's that one app that I can send emails from, that I can make phone calls, that I can do photo editing. And everyone was like shocked. I mean, how can I even suggest that? And I said, well, the interesting thing is that we expect that from Office 365. We expect one app to do everything. And then when we have choice, then it confuses people.
I love that analogy. I love that.
It's not like you open Facebook in the morning, you go, oh my word, I can't send an email to my boss from Facebook. No, it's not.
Because guess what? You're in Facebook, and you're hopefully not friends with your boss on Facebook.
Absolutely. So I think the point that I was trying to make is that if we spend time to get to know things, then we're not that confused. Confusion comes from not knowing. So it's investing time and getting to understand how the apps work together, to understand that mutualistic symbiosis. The fact that they can feed off each other and help each other and grow each other is the thing, but it all comes from knowledge.
Knowledge is power, I understand.
Absolutely.
But it really starts with, when I think about actually projects in general, it's got to be, this is not just a Jeff thing, but it's out there that these projects are 80% culture, 20% technology, even though we do live in a day and age where we like the shiny new thing.
So I was just having a chat about that on the white leather couch when you came past, about that how much of our projects are being allocated to the right things. And I still don't see that. I still don't see that we are putting enough focus on training or the change management or the culture change. We still put too much, if I say focus, I mean budget. We'll have a small bit of budget for the training stuff, and then you know what happens? Someone goes and steals even more of that and says, let's move that to branding, because if it's prettier, they'll use it, remember?
I am with you all the way. I'll give a statement of work to a client, and they'll be, we try to keep the change management, even though it should be going throughout the project. They cut that. And then they say, you know what, Jeff, I see you've got, I don't know, 500 hours for design and 500 hours for user experience. Well, if you've got design, why do you need UX? Any time that a client comes to me and wants to cut UX, I always just say, you could pay me now or you could pay me later, because UX is the secret sauce. Guess what? Amazon is not a pretty site, but it is the most user-friendly site ever. So I always say, don't skimp, to your point, don't skimp on sort of the small stuff, which user experience certainly is, but it's, like the lipstick on a pig.
Yeah.
You're just reskinning it. It's
Yeah.
still not amazing underneath.
That's it. I look, I don't have a SharePoint tattoo for nothing, okay? It's one of the things closest to my heart. But for years, we all come from like much older versions of SharePoint, okay? We've come a long way. And I've sat in so many project meetings where people will say to me, but can we make it prettier? And I'm like, wait a minute, what is this can we make it prettier thing? We're putting too much focus on what we think users want to see. What's more important is being able to find things, being able to be efficient and use the app. The prettiness comes afterwards and does the last little bit, but we've done it the wrong way around for too many years. I think that's been a bit of a problem, I'd say.
What I've been seeing, or I've been trying to sort of push, and as you could see, I like busy things, but when it comes to my intranet, I want it to be easy to use, and I want it to look good. And I'm thinking, to be honest with you, I haven't been on Bing in a while, but I've been on that other one with a G. And when you go on that one, it's a lot of white space. And I see the future intranets and portals as something like that, where there's just a box. What do you want? And then how about a chat bot as well? And call it a day. And, I'm doing a session tomorrow on the future digital workplace. And that is what it could look like. A lot of white space, big search bar, and a chat bot, just in case you can't find what you're searching for.
But that search is kind of leading up to the whole digital literacy thing, right? If you kind of look at that and you think of how people find content, if you look at that journey and we say that we came from a place where we navigated to content through folders, and we navigated through menus, and then we started searching, right? And today we're in an era where the apps that we work with is discovery. It's pushing content at you even before you ask for it, right?
Yeah.
But most of our users still don't search. Do you realize that? How many people doesn't even use the Windows button on their keyboard? So yes, I'd love that. I'd love to get to the point where we don't even have a desktop on our computers. We just have a search box. I really would want that, but we have to invest in the users. We have to make sure that they start using the technology right, because for years they haven't.
This idea of build it and they will come is definitely a myth. People invest millions of dollars, well, maybe not millions, hundreds of thousands of dollars on occasion on intranets. We're here at the conference floor, and there are a lot of different vendors and partners that are selling these solutions that are, sometimes they're a platform, but other times they're a series of web parts.
Yes.
That help people like Tracy and I build a better user experience, a better experience for the employee. But you know what? Have we ever talked to the employee? Have we found out what they wanted? Or is it only what we want? So I always say to myself, before we start building, it would be like if you started building a house without a floor plan. You'd say, well, how big is the living room going to be? How big is the bathroom going to be? We just don't know unless you actually have that blueprint, that roadmap, if you will.
Yeah. I think that definitely makes me a little bit of a different consultant to the rest of us out there, as I believe I work myself out of companies, not into companies. Okay,
That's an interesting premise. Go ahead.
Which means that I normally don't build intranets for them. I build intranets with them.
Yes.
So if a company approaches me for an intranet, I'm like, all good, let's do this. Give me one person per department. I train them up and I build an intranet with them, which means they learn, they know what they want, and they can maintain their own intranet afterwards, because I do mentorship programs. So that works so much better, because also you can't ask someone what they want if they don't know the product. That's why we get, what do they call it, analysis paralysis. Those
Yes.
requirements
Oh my
workshops. That's
gosh.
crazy. So if you kind of can get people trained up in the basics of SharePoint as well, it means that in a couple of weeks, they ask better questions and they put better requirements down. So that mentorship programs works much better for me at clients.
I absolutely love that idea, working hand in hand with the client as opposed to, there's nothing worse for me, although it's just, corporate speak where the clients are always referring to us as a vendor.
Yeah.
I hate that more than anything, right? We are partners in this together.
Absolutely.
You're paying me money. I'm working hand in hand with you, hopefully. And too many times, it's that vendor client relationship, which is not amazing. The ones that really call you a partner and you get to work your magic, that's
exactly.
where, yeah.
It's the relationship, and that builds trust and empathy and working better together. But at least I know as well is that I can, and that's what you do with partners, whether we're friends, whether we're life partners, whether we work partners, okay? Because I want to walk away from that company and make sure that they're okay. That's the only thing I want. And if that relationship's not right, if we're not really mentoring our clients and really helping them achieve what they should be achieving, then that's not right. What we're doing is not right then.
Tracy, what do you see as sort of the future of work? How do you see your role evolving within an organization? I mean, I know you're a SharePoint consultant based in Joburg. How do you see that evolving?
I think on my side, I've already had a lot of that change happening over the last couple of years. So, of course, I came from SharePoint, and then the last couple of years has been Office 365. I've been helping companies with their strategic roadmaps and things on making decisions. But I can honestly see that my role is changing more and more and more to the people side and less to the tech side. So, for me, I've become...
That's cool, right?
That's why my job title, my own given job title, is Microsoft 365 coach and catalyst. I mean, that's what I do, is I give therapy. I'm a tech therapist. I mean, that's exactly what I do. I'm there to change cultures, and I help people trust technology again. I help IT. So what was that series, was it called Billions or something? Did you ever watch Billions?
Yes,
Read
yes.
it? And remember the lady that was the therapist that would sit in the office and everyone comes
She was a very high-priced therapist.
I'm that chick, okay? I want to be that chick. I want to sit somewhere and people must come talk to me about issues they're experiencing, because we're all just, a bunch of anxious cucumbers. We're all just water, okay? 80% water or something.
Anxious cucumbers.
That's it.
I like that.
So we need to focus more on that, because anyone can achieve anything if you empower them enough with knowledge. Anyone can achieve anything. So I'm focusing much more on that lately, because there's incredible people out there doing more of the tech stuff. I'm just out there fixing people, because everyone just needs a little bit of TLC.
We all need a little bit of TLC. I know a lot of our viewers are actually going to sleep right now. The folks on the West Coast and Midwest, and folks here are just waking up. Tell me, you're an early riser, I recall, 5 a.m.-ish, maybe not here, but what's one of your morning rituals that maybe you could share with our audience that, might say, hey, that's kind of cool?
So, before I get to the tech side, I think South Africa has amazing weather, and the sun rises quite early. So I've been struggling here. This is a little bit dark for me in the mornings, and it's dark at night. That's the South Africans struggling a little bit with that. I sleep with my curtains and my windows open, wide open. I've got the most amazing birds in my garden. Okay, so for me, the most wonderful thing is when I wake up hearing birds in my garden. Okay, so that's amazing. So while I've been here this week, I've set my alarm to be birds, so that I don't miss my birds. It just makes me happy. But then
they probably have one of those things that you could go to sleep to with birds as well.
Just helps me. It just makes me so happy to have nature and good health and sunshine and all of those things. But for me as well, I've learned to build learning into every day, and I think that's important. We can't once a year go for a course anymore. Once a year you go for your Office 365 certification. That's not going to work, cupcake, anymore, because by Monday you're outdated. Monday they've moved the button, okay, and that certificate means nothing, okay? So we need to change people to become everyday self-learners, lifelong learners. And the only way that you can do that is by doing it in bite sizes every day, because then the load is less. It's not so stressful.
Amen.
So part of my everyday morning routine, the first couple of minutes when I have my good cup of coffees, because I have a couple of them, you don't get this craziness without caffeine.
You and me both.
So that little bit of a morning thing is for a couple of minutes, and Twitter is my platform to learn, okay? For a couple of minutes, I'll scroll through, I'll check what feature updates there's been, what are the new things I want to look out for. Got a little power app that I go and mention those things so that I can come back later and actually go and try some of that features out. So that daily learning thing's important for
You
me.
know, Tracy, I'm going to put you on the spot now. Tell me, besides myself, of course, Jay Willie, who are some of the folks that you learn most from? I mean, you probably learn from the Microsoft product team a lot, you know, the
Yeah.
Office 365, guys like Dan Holm, Mark Cashman, McNulty, that group. You probably learn a lot from them, but who else are you learning from? Actually, who's the
You
gentleman?
know that this is going to get me in trouble. You know
Oh,
that.
gosh.
There is
Oh, my
no
gosh.
way.
I did
So
not
let
even-
me,
I did
let
not
me
even
tell
think.
me. Let me tell you why I can't answer that. Because as a
Oh,
human,
gosh.
I will always miss something, and I'm going to miss one person who's going to feel that's sad that I didn't mention them, and that's not fair. Okay. So firstly, all my friends
so
that knows
politically
me,
correct
that I have
sometimes.
to. I have to.
Sometimes.
Okay. I don't make enemies like that. Okay. Because I have a list of Twitter handles that I do follow. But what I always tell my students, if you're new to this, go follow every single Microsoft product group. It's the first thing you do, is follow every Microsoft product group, the product handle that you can find for Teams or OneDrive or SharePoint
Flow,
or something.
sure.
And then you'll see, once you see who engages with those product handles, you pick up the next level. That little pyramid scheme of learning, then that happens. So you'll see how that engagement happens. And it's not just MVPs, all the community people, the way they engage then you pick up the next person to follow. And then through that person, you pick up the next person. And that's
I
that
love
whole
that.
pyramid
That's-
scheme of learning.
Yes, I used to do that. I haven't done it recently, but that's a great. I probably have already have been doing it
Absolutely.
instinctly. I tweeted an article the other day. I didn't write it, but the best type of technology is when you don't realize you're using it. Sort of like the best type of exercise is when you don't realize that you're
I love that.
exercising. You know, I looked at my, I almost said Fitbit, my Apple Watch the other day. I was in Paris, and I had done 8 miles walking. Now, I sort of realized that I did it because my feet were killing me, even though I had very comfortable shoes. But I knew that 8 miles, so I didn't even realize, and I burned, 1,500 calories just looking around Paris. So, when you don't realize that it's a thing.
I like that.
When do you check? I interviewed Scott Hanselman yesterday, and God, what a brilliant guy! What's up, Scott? If you're watching, peace.
Crazy person.
So, Scott gave me a suggestion, not every day, but don't check your email until noon. What do you think of that? I mean, you're your sole proprietor. That's your livelihood is like,
I struggle with that, so I'm seriously struggling with time management at the moment. I think the first place, health-wise, I've had to make some changes because I'm overdoing it, okay? The first thing that I did do the last couple of months is I stopped killing myself at conferences. I used to sit here, go stress, go check my emails. I've taken it slower at conferences so that I can just have these cool moments, not be so stressed. But I still struggle with that. I'm definitely very much in my inbox. I check things all the time. I'm also the type of person who wants to answer immediately, and that's out of empathy. That's out of trying to help my customers, but it's wrong. So that's definitely that.
Yeah.
I've heard that from a lot of people where they say, just do it 3 times a day or keep it offline, and so the emails don't come in. Because I think Anna Chua gave me that cool tip. Is just say keep it offline, and then twice a day just go and put it online, and then the emails come in. So I don't think that's a bad idea, but. Man, I'm too. I don't know if I can. No, I can't do that.
Scott gave me an amazing suggestion. It's called the Pomodoro method, where Pomodoro's tomato. I guess there's a timer that's in the shape of a tomato, and he clicks it to 25 minutes for one specific task. Let's say you're working on your deck for here. 25 minutes, and then you need to take a break. You need to walk around. That 25 minutes is an intense sprint. You take a break as long as you want. He suggests 5 minutes, but depending upon your deadline, and then set it again for something else. An actual timer. I mean, you've got it on your smartphone as well, but I thought that was an excellent suggestion as well.
I don't think that's bad, but there's a lot of psychology behind that as well. I mean, I read up quite a bit on the training side and why people struggle with things, and that creativity that we have, and the high performance part of how your brain functions. I've also read that they say it's I think it's 43 minutes and then 17 off. So you have to you can easily say that in every hour there must be a 10-minute break. You have to change and do something else to kind of just reset that creativity and the innovation and all that good stuff, because you actually just get tireder and less focused. So you have to. So it kind of ties back to that 25-minute that's close. But I believe in that. I definitely believe in that. I have to get up, walk somewhere, get coffee or something in every hour.
Before we wrap up, Tracy, I see you're wearing a very fancy Year of Yammer shirt. Talk to me about what Year of Yammer means to you, being a Yambassador and a Yam evangelist myself. Besides a nice
I'm
t-shirt.
excited about Yammer, but again, it's not just Yammer. That whole co-innovation, with how suddenly, and I mean, it wasn't adopted as well in South Africa that I would have wanted it to, but a lot of people think that products fix problems, and they don't. People fix problems with products, remember? So Yammer was sold for many years as a fixer for company communication and culture problems, but it doesn't work like that, okay? And companies are starting to wake up that you actually need to invest and use the tool. I love the way how I can start integrating Yammer into the different apps that I use, into SharePoint, into Microsoft Teams, to bring in that great features. So I'm super excited for the cool stuff coming in Yammer.
Great. Well, Tracy, it has been a slice and a half of delicious sour bread toast. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. We're here at the conference room floor in the Czech Republic, the European SharePoint Office 365 and Azure conference. I am blown away by how amazingly well run this conference is, the attendees, and I especially enjoy my time with you, Tracy.
Same here, absolutely. And cheers, everyone, and stay awesome.
Yes. Have a great day, and ESPC 19.